with us on this busy afternoon, so I don't understand Terrell Owens. Edelman, I know the Patriot fan won't care, and most football fans won't care either. It is the NFL. These players do everything they can to stay on the field. That's the mentality. I think that 4-game suspension is more token than anything else. But it's, I think, with Alzado and Matusak and all these guys who, I'm not sure about Matusak, but Alzado certainly, I think the NFL is just doing that out of its due diligence. But I do think that, there is something there from, they almost feel they almost have to out of necessity. All right, let's go to Matt in Long Island. He's with us here. He's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Matt, welcome. How are you today, pal? What do you have for me?
Good. How you doing?
Fine, Matt. Thank you. What's up?
Yeah, at the beginning of the show, you mentioned, you said that you thought Kevin Durant is better than Nowitzki in your opening monologue.
Well, Tom Moore thought that. Tom Moore, again, ran Quinnipiac into the... Right now, do I agree with it? I love Nowitzki. I can see the comparisons. Let's put it that way. I can see the comparisons.
Well,
Go ahead.
Well, my interpretation was that you were agreeing with what he had said, I guess. But my point on that is, Nowitzki never jumped ship and went to go play with Kobe.
Well, I mean, listen, that you're right about. That you're right. If this is about, what Durant did, and you want to hold that against him, I don't disagree with you at all. I'm just talking about it from a pure basketball perspective. What's your take on that?
Right. That's fine. But my other point is that, how many Hall of Famers did Nowitzki play with in the two finals runs that he had? I mean, yeah, Jason Kidd was well past his prime.
Yes, he was.
He might be the only Hall of Fame player over the last couple of decades that won a title without another Hall of Fame player on the team, not including the Pistons.
Well, Elijah won his first without a Hall of Fame on his team. But outside of that, you're right.
But that's 25 years. I said last 2 decades, last 20 years, we'll say, around. I don't think there's another guy aside from, the Pistons. I don't even know if they had one lock guy at least. But Nowitzki is really the only true star that went and did it himself, essentially. I mean, Jason Terry played great that year, don't get me wrong. But he also beat LeBron, too. So whether LeBron quit or not, all these guys calling up, how LeBron's the best of all time, which, whether it's 1 or 2 with Jordan, you can't argue it. Nowitzki still beat LeBron without another legendary Hall of Fame player on his team. Excellent
point. Excellent point. Matt, good call. You're right. And you could argue that that would give him the edge over Durant. Durant still is a better athlete than Nowitzki, better ball handler. He's a little quicker, better going to the basket. But overall, in a lot of ways they're similar. I mean, there's 7-footers who shoot threes. In a lot of ways, I mean, I'm sure Durant's probably better defensively. Nowitzki might be a little better rebounder. But I think what you say is a very, very fair point. Huck in Missouri, he's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Huck, good afternoon. How are you today? What's going on?
Doing real good, Chris. You're beginning your show and you're rattling off all those, sweeps. That your knowledge and memory is impressive. But we get Scott Wetzel.
What now? You lost me. What about Scott Wetzel?
Getting Scott Wetzel a better time slot, and that would impress me. Now, that making your channel better, that would really.
All right, so you want us to move Scotty off the midnight shift. You screamed and yelled, you guys, that we didn't give Wetzel a chance. And then we gave him, and so we did, and we gave him a good slot because it's post-game everything, and it's 9 o'clock in Los Angeles. It's a perfect time to be on. I'd rather be on at midnight than I would be on at 9 o'clock at night, because at midnight everything is done. At 9 o'clock at night you're up against games. So in essence, although it might not be conducive to little Hucky in Missouri because it's 2 o'clock in the morning when he's finishing up, from his perspective, it's a better show because midnight, there's nothing all the games are done for the most part. And if a game isn't done, he's the first voice on the game. He can go to sound. He can do this. He can do that. He can play around with it perfectly. If he's on 9 to midnight, he's up against games and you can't watch him. So he's better off at midnight. Don't you think so?
No, I disagree. I think Scott Wetzel should come on right after you. I mean, Scott Wetzel, he's big time.
But then Hucky's up against games. So Scott's going to talk about games and his Red Sox and his Dolphins when they're playing. Now, why would he want to do that?
Listen, people would sacrifice watching the game to listen to Scott Wetzel.
No.
You call Scott Wetzel at 1:30 in the morning, and I promise you will be on hold longer than somebody calling your program.
Well, and Huck, even more so.
I love you, but Scott's popular, man. Scott is so popular.
But all the more reason not to move him. Or that you answered your own question. He's got full lines at 1:53 in the morning. Nobody else could do that. Why would you ever move him?
Because I can't listen to him live, Chris. That's all.
Well, you put him on demand.
Put him on demand. Well, I know, but it ain't the same because I can't call in, and be a part of the show.
I get it, but you got Scotty on demand and everything else, and plus, that's like robbing Peter to pay Paul. We could put Torrey there because Scott at 1 would be phenomenal. Put Cannell in the middle of the night, but then then they die and they were dead. So you might as well let Wetzel stay there. He's got 9 lines. He's flying. Matter of fact, you should put him on later. I'm doing 1 to 4. It'd even be a better spot for him because midnight the games may not be over yet. 1 a.m. the games are over, and then Scott's there. They can do 3 hours and knock him dead. It's perfect, absolutely perfect. We continue here on Mad Dog Unleashed. We're back after this.